So this is, I guess, day 3 or so. I've got a tank or 2 on it, and it was way rich, as you could hear. So I went in just to see how bad it was. It was actually out 1 3/4 turn last time. I just turned it out 1 1/4 turns, and I'm not gonna put a tack on it just yet, but we'll do that over time. So looking on the inside of this thing, plastic is actually quite good, and the screws are well formed. Some of the other versions, I've seen some goofy hardware, and it seems like on a hot day like today, fuel lines and stuff like that, tank vent, seems like it's decent rubber. You know, even this is a little bit higher quality than what I've seen in some of the saws in the past from similar vendors. It says it has an NGK plug with a resistor. It's possible. The message to me is they've definitely upped their game. It's definitely higher quality materials than some of the saws I've seen before, you know. So let's put it back together and fire it up. I'm going to give it a little more tune time. It's kind of a hot day, so I'll put a tack on it, maybe tank number 10, and then tune it to about 12.5, which is where they're supposed to be. So. Cookie race. I've got these 3 saws, and one of them is a OEM Swedish-built 281. So ostensibly the smallest saw in that lot in terms of displacement. But that's a strong saw. And the Holzfforma g288 and the Holzfforma g395 XP, and that's patterned after one of these. Well, actually the 288 version has a bigger filter, so that should have more power. And of course that's a bigger saw. That's a 94 95 cc saw right there, you know, so that should have a lot more power than these 2 guys. Now, having said that, both the 288 and the 281 OEM are very well broken in. That one only has, I don't know, a couple of tanks. As far as the chains are concerned, they're all Holzfforma, and they all have about the same amount of time on it. The X-Cuts, you know, the C85s, and actually the C83s. And so we're going to do the standard start race to see which one starts the easiest. And then I think over there I'm going to cut free. I got to do a little bit of cleanup here first, and then we'll do a couple of cookies off of that log over there once I get the butt end off it, and maybe a couple over there and that little tiny stuff. The funny thing is, on that one right there, none of them are going to look all that good. My 555 would probably stuff all of them because of chain speed and small diameter. That's another discussion. But let's just go for it and see which ones run. And I don't know if the sound's going to be right yet because this camera got saturated on the last video. I really don't know how to dry it out. It still has signs of water on it. So let's see if they start. That's encouraging, right? yes, the 395 does have a more pronounced piston rattle than the other ones, but not worried about it just yet. At some point I may pull it apart and see whether or not the piston or the cylinder are a little bit out of spec. But you know, I think I remember those saws having a little bit of more of a rattle anyway. It's not alarming to me, and sure, the 288 and the 281 are a little bit quieter, but they're a different design. I've got a 394 in the garage. We'll fire that one up and see if it sounds the same. But anyway, on to cooking. That saw cuts pretty good. It's a 28-inch bar, so it has a longer bar, so it should be at a slight disadvantage in terms of raw speed. But we'll see. We will see. Let's try the next one. This saw right here has turned into a really, really solid saw. And yeah, it vibrates more than the other two. But I've been logging with this saw, you know, not full time because I use the other saws. But I'll put a full day on this every, couple of days. And it's not letting me down. Once I saw the oiling issue, this has turned into a solid saw. It definitely runs quieter than the 395. The 395 definitely has more piston slap than the other two saws. I'm just going to run it the way it is, and if it doesn't fail, it's fine. I may pull it apart at some point and see why, just measure it. And like I said before, I've got an OEM that we'll run it with to see whether or not it makes the same kind of piston noise. Let's see how this one runs. I want you to take a look at these chips. Both chains are firing about the same. And there is absolutely no comparison in power. That 395 just flat out rips. But it does make a little bit of clatter. I'm not sure if that's a bad thing or not, it just is what it is. But that 395 both vibrates less and seems to possess quite a bit more horsepower. So, yeah, my hunch is that right now the 288 is probably more work ready. We need to have a little bit of time on the 395 to make sure that it's actually reliable. But it seems to me like it has more potential. So I'm going to leave it there today.